Good morning everyone. We are happy you made it back safely to Berg Mountain Optional University's #Precedents by Precedents, Plow, Plant and March 4th. This session we cover President Monroe. Won't you come along with
Fifth Precedent of Liberty. From Monroe Hall, Westmoreland County, VA. President James Monroe. April 28, 1758, 1817 to 1825, July 4, 1831. James Monroe was 18 years old when America declared its independence from Great Britain, where a transformation of the nation was so set by his precedents. He was the fifth president of the United States from March 4, 1817, to 1825, and if you think following Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison was an easy task, we'd have to disagree, because Monroe did more so effectively than any other could. From Westmoreland County, Virginia by today's unincorporated Monroe Hall, Virginia, and born to Spence Monroe and Elizabeth Jones, whose Welsh family was one of King George County's wealthiest. His father, but a craftsman, was a patriot opposed to the Stamp Acts which, perhaps, as an emigrating royalist from Scotland after the defeat of Charles I, his paternal great-great-grandfather may have seemed averse to George III as well. The revolution tore families between royalist and patriots, of which neither were returning to England or retreating further into the wilderness. Their fathers' fathers died in respective communities, bleeding, toiling, tearing and sweating, but lines had been drawn and Munro answered the bugle call. So, imagine yourselves at your ages with parents telling you Democrats or Republicans ought be treated a certain way as they are red or blue, because there is afforded us now a choice in green. It's not just one or the other but this, that or the other mandatory. Following four great presidents was then like having a great-great-great-grandfather, but Monroe, descendant from Clan Munro and French Huguenots, was a president who set precedents immensely important in his day and time.
Following four great presidents was then like having a great-great-great-grandfather. He was a president who set precedents immensely important in his day, remembered now from the catacombs of time, but fifth in line to still living leaders who would see their wills be done. Only then afterwards, as maintenance of previously established precedents, does the fifth build pentagonal in order. We weren't like vicious tyrants who in trying to prove themselves sovereign will attempt permanent erasure of the leaders. As technology evolves, so does the movement of the body in laws of man compounded, where this written agreement of the body for its own sake and betterment to pass another on their left side or pick up trash on Mondays and Thursdays. We want the freshest fruits and vegetables, the insurance of a secure market behind which a network of women, the elderly and children lived in harmony, but growing acceleratingly. Urban sprawl and rural settlements throughout newly purchased Louisiana continued as the era of good feeling after the War of 1812 galvanized national pride as Federalists would yield to the more popular Democratic Republicans, which Monroe led to bring about new Republicans, while within the Jacksonian Democratic Party was the leader of the next administration and not necessarily opposed but more so in addition to. We, once raised in younger generations to be better than our parents were, may have grown up to be so, where looking at Jacksonian democracy opposing democratic republicanism would be wrong. Our country was born of revolution, whereas every new concept under governmental auspices, at a park with benches in a pavilion, not a manger with logs on which to sit by a brook under the tree you carve, I love you. We had the land, and we couldn't marry off enough young ladies and gentlemen to occupy the ever-growing economy and the network of people and families to populate all this land we'd recently gained from the French.
Monroe was descendant from Clan Munro and French Huguenots. Studying at the College of William and Mary in 1774, where, when as student movements would yield at practice, Monroe stormed the governor's palace while a student demanding gunpowder for muskets. A patriot in application, Monroe placed formal education aside for experience, joining the Continental Army's 3rd Regiment as a lieutenant.
The word for the day is plenipotentiary, where presidents aren't bigger than the office, nor is the 7th somehow less than a 9th or 33rd, but merely numbers, not qualities. They assume positions in time and space. Continuing in westward expansion after the Louisiana Purchase, the presidency builds from yesterday so that we today cannot feel guilty for sitting on benches in parks placed yesterday by someone else for us to enjoy relatively indefinitely. Monroe was governor of Virginia under Gabriel's Rebellion as Madison's 4th presidency walled as Waldensians settlers from savages with Jeffersonian architecture. The Northwest Ordinance was purchased with monies from Adams' Federalist banks and protected by Washington's security guaranteed by Cornwallis's surrender at the Siege of Yorktown and Treaty of Paris. Though prone to revert to a monarchical government, Hamilton's Federalist Party wasn't extinguished, but we like to think founded our way of understanding politics and the beginning of the movement of American experience whose zeitgeist had yet seen liberty outside faint ideas we think for seconds, try to grasp before it gets away from mental view as a dog barks or a raven raps, taps, breaks and scrapes at my chamber door. As we could easily follow the much stricter laws of Parliament, the fact that we follow Washington is the fact that we are justified and fit to be sovereign over those subject to the land. Without land, man scatters whither and thither, thinking voting will change their ranks and stature in the world, having guessed which color was advertised more in a voting district. It was pacified with the benefits of long-term steady interest growth to short-term and still grown today in the Green Tea Party. Monroe defeated Rufus King in the 1816 election, signed the Missouri Compromise, invoked the Monroe Doctrine, and was a member of the American Colonization Society, where in Liberia its capital Monrovia is named after him.
Following four great presidents was then like having a great-great-great-grandfather, but Monroe, descendant from Clan Munro and French Huguenots, was a president who set precedents immensely important in his day and time. 5 presidencies compounded equals plenipotentiary.
That's all the information we have for you this session. In our next session we cover President John Quincy Adams. We hope to see you all there. Buckle up. Drive safe and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thus,